stop coughing. I'll try and stop coughing.
Hello, everybody. We are now officially live. We are live on the Green Umbrella Facebook page, my LinkedIn account, and also over on YouTube. So if you are here, if you are joining us, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're listening to this on the replay, thank you for stopping by. I'm really, really, really happy. Actually, do you know what? I'm not. I've been having a crap day. I got into the office this morning. There's like no Wi-Fi, no websites work. I've had to rush home to do this because I've just given up there. And there is a fly in this room that just keeps dive bombing me. So if I suddenly, like duck, it's because of this bloody fly that's driving me insane. But there is a positive. With every negative, there is a positive. And the positive is that we've got the fantastic Simon Bliss joining us today from Team.
I'm not that fantastic.
Oh, you will be. You signed a contract. You promised you would be. Okay. No. So Simon, give us a little introduction because not everyone will know you.
No, I'm an ancient recruiter, and sadly, I came to recruitment pretty late, which was a mistake. At 54, I bought a recruitment company that was really struggling. And I had a 5-year plan that took 10 years to exit that business. And then I was going to retire. But I suddenly realized I love recruitment. The first 2 years were a nightmare. I thought recruitment would be easy. That was a good idea. And I bumbled around for 2 years, really worrying what I'd done to buy a business that I didn't understand. But after a little while, we sort of got it. I took on some trainers to help me and my team understand the market better, and we got it. And I started to build that team, and then I realised that I should have got into recruitment years ago. I loved it. So 54 to 64 was my best 10 years, and it was my best 10 years of my career. And I absolutely loved that. And then I wanted to retire. I sold my business to some lovely Danes, and all of a sudden a chap came along and said, "I've got another business for you to buy." And I said, "Oh, I'm not interested." And he said, "No, you'll like this. It's Team." And I'd been a member of Team for 9 years. 9 years out of the 10 years since I acquired that recruitment company. And Team helped me establish myself with the business. It taught me about the industry, and it helped me fall in love with it. And the support I got from my team members, team suppliers like Christina, and just helped me understand the market and be more successful in it. So when the opportunity to buy Team came up, I thought, yeah, I could do something with Team. We were right in the pandemic. Team was supporting me and my company with some of those horrendous challenges that we were all going through back in April and May of 2020. And I thought I could help contribute, come out of that. So I took over the reins in October, and I'm loving it. We've got a new website. We've got the Team Hub, which is our intranet it's our LinkedIn for team members. And Christina and some of her colleagues are supporting us with that. And I've done lots of training and coaching sessions to help our members be more successful. I mean, our goal at Team is to help our members achieve their goals, whatever they might be. It might be a solo recruiter who wants to work less but bill more, or it might be a startup that today is on their own but wants to have 10 people in 3 years and be Michael Page in 10, or whatever it might be. So yeah, I love recruitment. I wish I got into it earlier, but there we go.
It's one of those industries where I think there's a real buzz about it, isn't there? It's like people that are in it, absolutely, they either jump in thinking it's going to be easy, and they go, "Oh crap!" as soon as they hit a bit of compliance, and then they're out again. Or it's one of those things where, like, once you're in it, that's it. There's no getting out because you're just so immersed in it, and the passion is there.
Yeah, I think also age is no barrier to success. In recruitment, if you're good, and you've got the right bosses and you're in the right environment, you can really progress. And 7,000 new recruiters started their businesses in the last year. So COVID made people go, why am I doing this for somebody else? I could do this for myself. So yeah, we've had 50 new startups join team in the last year. And that's part of what we do. We help startups and make sure they've got the foundation right. They'll be great recruiters because, unlike me, they've done the job before, so they know what to do. But they need to build the right ingredients, and I guess you guys help with that. I think you're with me tomorrow, aren't you, on a session for startups? But yeah, I think it's a lovely industry. I wish I got into it earlier.
So there's something I'd like to pick up on then that is so first of all, this conversation today, a lot of our audience are recruiters, but then I always say we're kind of on a 70-30 split. 30% of our audience are not in recruitment, but they are in businesses where they are looking to build their teams, they're looking to bring people on board, that sort of stuff. But we always come across people that are kind of making the jump from one puddle to the other. Maybe they've used recruiters before and they've kind of looked at it and gone, well, it's easy peasy. And actually they see the fee and they think it's fine. I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to go and start up as a recruiter. And I think that there's some sectors where maybe it's easier than others to do that. But then there's some sectors, anything healthcare related, for example, where there's great deal of compliance makes it really tricky. But what people definitely don't prepare themselves for is the resilience and the grit required to be a recruiter. And I think if we look at the last I'd actually say the last 2 years, some of the recruiters that we know, if we go back 2 years ago, we were kind of coming into this situation where we'd got all the feels of a recession is coming. You know, recruiters in the automotive industry, they were already suffering impacts before COVID even hit. And, you know, when COVID then does hit, it affected so many recruitment businesses. So from the inside, what did that look like then, and how do things look now? Because I think this story is just like, people don't get to see this side of recruitment.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I take my own personal situation, we were booming even in Q1 of 2020, and we've been riding that wave for a number of years, and we got to April, so Q2 of 2020. And our revenue was 18% of Q1. It just went through the floor. You know, I had 37 people in my team. Thank God for furlough, is all I could say. So the rug was ridiculously pulled away. If we jump forward, you know, Q3 started to pick up. Q4 was actually quite good. And then all of a sudden, this year's gone mad again. So the whole market's reversed. We didn't have any jobs last year, if I'm being crude and black and white about the whole situation. This year, there's loads of jobs, there's no candidates. And actually, if you're an employer and not a recruiter, you sort of have this assumption that there's loads of people out there. There's lots of people out of jobs. There's lots of people on furlough looking for, you know, change. That perhaps the insecurity of COVID has caused them to start looking around. There'd be good guys and girls to look for now. Well, there are, but there's hundreds of jobs. You know, businesses have woken up now. Thousands of new businesses have started. I think I mentioned 7,000 new recruitment companies registered at Companies House last year. So that, you know, that's reflected around the rest of the marketplace. Lots of startups everywhere. So there's a dearth of great recruits to join those businesses. I think there's one. I saw a session that Jeremy Snell ran this week. 1.2 million jobs at the moment. Now that's a record for a number of years. But the candidate pool, you know, I was talking to some of my members as saying, we put an advert on CV Library, job, you know, Indeed, etc. We get 500 applications for a role in the middle of last summer. Now we get 10. because candidates are being bombarded. If you go on a job board, they're being bombarded by recruiters, so that the competition is huge, and companies want to keep their good staff. So there's a wave of counter offers. You take a candidate through and you think you've got him as an employer, and you offer him a good pay rise, and he goes to resign, or she goes to resign, and the counter offers are huge at the moment. So it ain't over till it's over in the recruitment process, and good recruiters will be really nurturing and driving and pulling information out of their candidates to make sure they're serious about a move. And they should be challenging those candidates fairly early on in the process to say, do you really want to move, or do you just want more money? Because, if you just want more money, talk to your boss and say, look, I'm being targeted all the time. I'm being offered all these jobs. I don't really want to leave, but I need 5,000 or 10,000 more pounds, or whatever it might be. So I think the market has changed. Employers need to wise up to that. And I think it's recruiters' jobs to really communicate to what the market's like now, because it's very, very different than it was a few months ago. And if the clients don't move fast and recognize the dearth of resource, then they're not going to offer enough. They're not going to move fast enough. And they should embrace a wider talent pool as well. Diversity and inclusion are vital, absolutely important now in corporate business and SME businesses. And there's a wealth of great talent in a space where you may not have looked before. I'm fed up of hearing companies say, oh, I don't think they'll fit our culture, so we won't have that individual. Well, they might add to the blooming culture. If you have all the same type of people in a business, you're not adding to any culture. If you bring in different types of people, then that's when they add to the culture. So I think there are various elements that as recruiters, we can educate the marketplace about how challenging it is now. And you can position yourselves as an expert and differentiate by saying, I specialize in this sector. I really understand the talent pool, and it will be difficult to find what you're doing with your offer. What's your mission for this individual when they join? It's not good enough to say, well, this is the job description and this is what they must do. Well, that's what they do when they get in the job. But what's the real challenge? People want a challenge when they move now. They want to understand there's progression and there's ambition and there's optimism in the whole business, and they want to join something that's got a bit of energy to it. So I think you've got, and I love to see when recruiters are demanding and using video in their recruitment process, and they're getting the hiring managers to sit on a video with them to talk about how exciting the job is and what the company's like and how long they've been with the company and why they stay, rather than a recruiter on video talking about the job they've got. It's much more exciting to have the hiring manager really breathing passion about the company and the job and the mission that they've got for this new candidate. That's when you can attract real good talent. So I think recruiters are really being quite smart now about how they promote themselves and access the market. And if they're doing it well, communicating to the market the real challenge of finding the best people and maintaining good percentage levels and fees, because, lots of people are saying, oh, I'm not paying that fee. Well, tough.
Do you know, Simon, there's so many things we can pick up on in that. I don't want to get into the fee thing too much, because we could do a whole conversation just on that. But what I would say is, when you think about using a recruiter and you go, oh, well, I'll do it myself because I can stick a job on Indeed for a couple of £100, it is no comparison. And it's, it's understanding the difference between what a job description is and a job ad is and all that kind of stuff that's what you're buying. So, people haggle with the recruitment fees, and I'm like, do you really like going through those CVs? Do you really like all that time you spend on interviews that kind of just so that you can say, no, those people aren't going to be good enough for what we want. It's like, use a recruiter. It's crazy to me. People kind of go, oh no, I'm not going to spend that money. I'll waste my time instead, because it's not a good use of our time.
The value of a good recruiter is now, because HR, who are always busy, and recruitment is only part of HR's process. So we have to appreciate, and we don't sometimes as recruiters recognize the value of HR and all that they do. But if you look at HR, they're busy. If you look at some businesses with internal recruitment teams or people, they will go to job boards. Now, the job boards are a mass of jobs and candidates that are being approached all the time, proactively by recruiters. So the egos of the job board community are being massaged by us and all the jobs that are out there. And so it's difficult to get some stickiness with some of those candidates. And internal recruitment are struggling. They're really struggling. And HR are looking at that and going outside. I've seen some businesses get rid of their internal recruitment teams because it's not working anymore. Because they have a formula: go to the job boards, manage the volume that come in, and we'll find good people. Well, it ain't happening now. And the internal recruiters don't have the tools and the skills and the talent pools to go to that recruiters have, especially specialist recruiters. The passive candidates are where the gold is, and internal recruitment haven't got any of that. So the value of a recruitment company now is huge for those businesses really looking for talent. And I've seen quite a few internal recruitment teams get made redundant, and HR just going straight to mainly specialist recruiters. But generalist recruitment is tough too. If you want a customer service person, they're tough to find. You need to actually look at some of the transferable skills. Some great people come out of retail and events and leisure in the last year because there was no jobs, and they've jumped into some customer service type roles because they're good at customer facing environments. So talent pool should be more wide about transferable skills now. I think there's a great opportunity there.
Jane, I'm going to bring you in at this point, sitting there looking pretty. I know you sort of got a few thoughts around me. around candidate shortages and everything. So yeah, Jane, with the client, because I mean you've been working with quite a few of our recruitment clients on sort of different ways of them attracting candidates, that kind of stuff. So what's some of the notes that you've made? What's some of the questions you might have for Simon?
Well, I as you said, I've been looking at a lot of sort of news articles around this lately, just because I've been working with people who've got that problem. And so, I just sort of made myself a few notes really that I think it was saying that obviously lots of foreign workers have gone home, so they're not here wanting jobs. They might not move back. Lots of people have retired early, haven't they? So that's another reason why there's not so many people around. But it was saying about how many people have started their own business. And that's one of the reasons why they're not out there looking for jobs. So that's what I thought was quite interesting with your thing tomorrow for startup recruiters, really, and so sort of how many of those people who were in a paid job have suddenly jumped and thought, yeah, I'll do recruitment as well. So it sort of ties in quite well together, doesn't it? I mean, as you said, you've had however many people register. I presume you've got a lot of people on your course tomorrow, have you?
We've got quite a few, and mainly non-members of team. So people either thinking about starting, or people that have just started and are going through that painful process of trying to think, oh, hang on, website, marketing, branding, job boards. Should it be a limited company? Should it be a sole trader? Thinking about all the important stuff, and then, am I in a restrictive covenant with my previous employer? So getting some legal advice and some of the tricky things of hurdles to go through in those first steps. But yeah, I said 7,000 new recruiters companies started last year, mainly startups as 1 to 2 person businesses. But we've got a member who had 5 people in his business last year. He's got 27 in his business now, and and he's used the Kickstart scheme to bring on some real energetic youngsters and give them a real career opportunity as well. So lots of opportunity for people to give this a go now, and employers are desperate. The jobs are so high, for talent. I mean, real talent.
Yeah. Mark, we were talking about some of the obviously there's been loads of stuff in the news, hasn't there, whether it's to do with pandemic or driver shortages, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think you'd sort of got something on that point, hadn't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, even if you take away our connection to the sort of recruitment industry, obviously that's been massive news over the last few sort of weeks and months. So it was really, have you seen sort of quite innovative ways that recruiters are trying to get over the driver shortage? Obviously, I know there's the actual specific driver group within the team sort of organisation as well. And, obviously it's probably a bit of Brexit and a bit of the pandemic, as Christina said, that's sort of got us into that situation. But yeah, have you sort of seen anything or got any thoughts on that and what people can do to actually get over that shortage, really?
Yeah, the driver shortage is painful. It's mainly Brexit. We've lost, I think Jay mentioned, we've lost nearly 1 million people that have gone back to Europe because they've had to. And a lot of those great drivers were Eastern Europeans. That was the sad thing. I always sit on the driver group, and the whole subject was about attracting the right talent, either as temporary or perm workers, and what they're doing. The retailers are really overpaying now. Some of the big boys like Tesco and Sainsbury are really going out there with very high salaries to get PAYE, and then support that with some agency workers as well. And it's really tough. They're not on job boards. So lots of people have been creatively getting out on Facebook, being personal about and connecting, creating some interest with some stories about the truck driving world and about the challenges and where the best places to eat are and stuff like that, and building a little talent pool community and the following around that. So Facebook has been really good for that space. And sometimes you gotta go and fish where the fish are, and sometimes it's on job boards, sometimes it's in your own hard-working talent pool. I mean, recruiters will go to LinkedIn as a default, because most professional people or semi-professional people are on LinkedIn as their business network, but not so many drivers are. Although you do a search, with Recruiter, if you've got that product, and you'd be surprised how many there are. But Facebook was a good space, and creative people are using that wisely and having some groups and doing some following and keeping some stories going and some tips and guidance, and that's helping, certainly helping.
Cool.
We were talking just sort of before we went live, and I said to Simon, I think we're finding that recruiters are far more open to being quite creative in the way that they get in front of candidates now, and probably more open to some of our crazier ideas than they have been for quite a while. Jane, we're working on a Facebook campaign, a paid Facebook campaign at the minute for a recruiter, aren't we? That is, I mean, it's different because we're not running ads about here's a vacancy. We're running ads about here's something you can join that you can get access to that has massive value for you as an individual, and it's nothing to do with whether or not they want a job. It's all about actually getting hold of that data so that we can then market to them moving forward. But the type of candidate we're looking for there is more of a blue collar candidate. But Jane, we're running that on LinkedIn as well, aren't we? as a
Yeah,
paid ad.
we are, and it seems to be doing quite well. But I mean, that's the thing, is that you never know where these people are and whether they do have a LinkedIn account and things like that, do you? So, but there's another recruiter we had been talking to as well, which we haven't set anything up with, and they're looking for similar sort of blue collar type workers, and we were talking about doing some Instagram ads with them, because they're looking for that sort of 18 to 25-year-old person who is out of work, maybe thinks they can't get a job, but they wanted to target areas that have a high unemployment at the moment, but where maybe people's morale isn't that great either, so they're perhaps just assuming there are no jobs out there. So, you know, the idea is that hopefully we'll target them on Facebook. Oops.
How did I do there?
What happened?
I didn't fall over, but the PC did.
Yeah.
Do you know, I did that. I logged on to this, right, in my rush, and like I said, you know, literally I've like dived home at the last second because the internet issues of the office. And I did exactly that. I've got a stool in front of me with a box on it, so my laptop's at a reasonable height so that I look good. And then it just all went backwards, and I was like, oh my God, if I've broken the MacBook now, it's like Jane and Mark will literally kill me. Mark will get in his car, drive over here, and
with a new laptop, yeah.
Good. Or you're on your phone. There we go.
Yeah, no excuses. Yeah, you got your phone.
That's true.
Awesome.
I think I think there's such a good point. There are lots of recruiters, and actually, where are the people? Lots of recruiters have a good database already, and I really feel now is the time to go back to that database and properly make sure you are engaged with the people on it. Because if they're not right for your job, they'll probably know someone who is. And if you go to the job boards, and I'm not trying to knock the job boards, that's everyone's going there. You know, they're visible for everyone. They're visible to recruiters. Hiring managers are looking at those as well and signing up to those directly. So candidates are being bombarded. If you put a new CV on a job board and you're in, you know, you've got some skills and you're in the market where there's those jobs available, you're going to get 10 calls in the first 2 days about jobs that are really perfect for you. You know, I used to be in the health and safety recruitment market, and I looked on Indeed yesterday for jobs for health and safety advisors in London. There's 519 jobs advertised. So the world, you know, that's not the place to be. If you've nurtured and developed a good database of your candidates over a period of years, always go to them. Let's re-engage with some of those people you might not have spoken to for a while. They might be right for your job, but I bet they know someone who might be as well. So referrals are such a great space in the passive world, and you know, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. And those people won't be then, if they're not active on a job board, you won't. The world and his wife and recruiters, internal recruiters, won't be chasing those individuals, so you don't have to compete with those individuals with other roles.
But this is the thing, and this is something that stretches beyond recruitment. This is something that's happening in all businesses, and it's this: we're all hungry for new data. We all want new leads. Everyone's hungry for new business. Yeah. There's never enough focus on building what you've got, and there is never. I mean, the number of times I speak to someone and they're, you know, okay, well, we're going to do the. We want to do social, and we want to do blogs. We want to do video. We want to do all this sexy stuff. And I'm like, okay, so tell me about your email marketing. How big is your database? Oh, we've got 5,000, 6,000. Okay, when did you last contact them? And it's just that data is just sat there, all those opportunities that are sitting in there. Yeah. And it might be one email a month. Just, you know, people just, they just don't think about actually, what have we got already? How do we maximize that before we start? You know, don't get me wrong, kind of does us out of some business sometimes, but you know, it's you've got to rinse what you've got before you start investing in the next thing.
Yeah, and also, you know, if you've got loyal clients, and you're supporting them with certain roles, what other roles have they got? they already trust you. You've built a relationship with them over a period of time where they come to you for X or Y. Well, why can't they come to you for Z or something else? Understand their challenges, and it might be areas where you can support them. And I don't want to bang on about Team so much because this is more about the general marketplace. But at Team, we have people who, if you're supporting a client with customer service and blue collar workers, and they suddenly need a finance director, you've got 50 colleagues in Team that can find that, and you could get the job, but someone who's a specialist in financial recruitment will find that finance director for you, and you can share the fee. We've had people that share 50. The build last year, Anthony McCormack from Macstaff billed 50 grand last year on it, sharing jobs with other people. He works on his own, so he did 50,000 sharing and supporting other people find jobs.
Do you think that people are just generally more open to collaboration because of what's happened over the last sort of 12, 18 months?
I think so. I think that has helped. I think firstly, we try and build a circle of trust. If you've seen Meet the Parents, you'll understand that phrase. A circle of trust within Team where you can share a job with somebody else and a candidate, and not get screwed by the other partner. Otherwise, I chuck them out. But I had a lovely story. I can't remember. It's either Anthony or Andrew. His market died last summer, after April and May, a bit like my 18%. He said mine went to below 10%. He said, I sat on a couch for 2 months eating crisps and he said nothing was happening in my market. And then he thought, oh my God, I can't do this. It's driving me nuts. And I'm really stressed about, where my business and paying for the mortgage. So he went on to our Team Exchange and he started looking at jobs that other people have got. And he said, I think I can fill those. And he sort of got all re-energized. He filled 7 jobs in 5 weeks, which equaled his Q1 on his own. And he got re-energized. And once he was re-energized, he talked to his clients, and guess what? They started to give him jobs again. And it was all down to his personal energy. But he was thrown into that space, forced in that space, maybe by the sofa and the crisps, and the lack of the mortgage revenue, to really get out and share and collaborate. But I know he's collaborating now still, as well as focusing on his own business. But it sort of forced people to perhaps have a look at that. But I think they're doing it now because they got jobs and they haven't got candidates. So I think it's a great time to, be out there and trust other people, start to build relationships and understand their skills and experience first. You want to partner with people who understand your market, or at least the challenge you've got with the job. We put some Booleans and some searches within our Team Hub and Team Exchange, so you can find those people, specialists in financial recruitment, specialists in legal, or whatever it might be. And that helps people at least narrow the field of who they should talk to if they want to share a role.
Cool. Okay, let's take the conversation now to more from a sort of marketing within recruitment sort of stance. Now, I know we're quite often, Simon, when we're having conversations, you'll sort of say to me, okay, Christine, what do you see? Like, who's doing things really well at the minute? We can give you loads of, we can give you examples all day long. Mark will talk to you about websites, and Jane will talk to you about what, that's like the techie Facebook ad stuff, and I'll talk to you about strategy. But what are you seeing? What examples have you seen where actually people have listened to the marketers that are spouting all the stuff that we spout and implemented it and got results off the back of it?
I was lucky enough recently to be invited by Global Recruiter to judge the best marketing plan for recruitment companies, and there was some amazing stuff in there, and there were small businesses, and there was some, Randstad, I think, were one of the people that submitted their plan, and there was some amazing stuff. But I'm not going to say who the company was, but I was really impressed by a company that started trading in 2019 with the boss on his own. And he started a podcast that summer in 2019 in the space that he'd chosen to work in. He'd obviously worked in that space before he went on his own. So he was in life sciences and pharmaceutical. And he started to invite VPs and chief execs of really quite big companies who were in pharma and life sciences, because they tend to be big companies, to speak about, the market, what they're in, where they're going with the business, what things are happening. And after a while, he was successful at really engaging some senior people, and a few VPs and chief execs started to contact him. He said, "I've seen your podcast. I'd like to speak on it." And guess what happened? His business grew, and those people who built relationships with and built some trust with started to use him. He started on his own in 2019. He's got 19 people in his team now, and we had COVID in the middle of that. So I think that was a wonderfully creative move, and a great journey for a business that 2 years ago didn't exist. So I love the podcast. We're doing them at Team. And I think, Christina, have you done one yet? Because we're doing them with our service providers as well as our members.
Yeah, I'm on the schedule, so I need to check in with James to get that booked in. But yeah, I've got my own podcast as well, which I started at the end of August. And there is something about podcasts that it just elevates you from a perception perspective. It's like, oh, you got a podcast, that means you've got a voice, that means you must know stuff.
Well, also, I think the great thing about it is, if you and we do them we did them with James at Team, and they don't want to listen to me. They want to listen to some of our service providers like you, and some of the members have got some amazing stories about what they've done. I think one of our members had a generalist business, and he's moved his business to a mini RPO. So instead of fighting, with working with 3 to 5 other agencies on contingency, he now controls everything for a client. And he came to Trisha and me at Team in the spring of this year and said, "I've got this new client. The HR manager moved from my old client to this new business. I don't know anything about the business. They've got 51 perm jobs for me. Over the next 3 months, 25 are in education and 26 are in care. What can you do?" So we matched them up with care recruiters and education recruiters, and we filled those jobs. It was a fantastic story. So that was a good move from someone who morphed their business differently. And I'd love to hear that stuff. And we did a podcast on that. But Mark will know. I'm a great lover of some of the old things. You've got a good website, you've got good keywords and phrases, and you've got a good mix of SEO and Google Ads. My best ever month with my old business in our health and safety space was we spent £2,000 on SEO and Google Ads, and we got £63,000 of converted lead from that came in, converted, not just inquiries. So the old ways are the good way. Always are good ways, but think about where you can get the most results. So I love the old traditional website, inbound marketing, Google Ads, good SEO. You can't beat some of that.
I mean, Mark, we've seen some shifts, aren't we, in what people are asking for website wise. It's not just a brochure site anymore, is it, that people want?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's a lot of the sort of things we've spoken about on here before generally. So it's not even, just recruiters, but obviously blogging is a massive sort of part of things, whether it be from an SEO perspective or getting your knowledge out there, proving that you're, the oracle on your subject, your sector. But then obviously things like lead magnets, which we spoke about the other week.
Yeah.
So again, but that is sort of increasing people's knowledge of, it might be a download or an ebook or something, that kind of thing, so that you're giving, value back to either in this case, maybe a candidate or client. So yeah, there's lots of just little things that you can do. And I think it's all about consistency. I know we always say it, you've got to be consistent in what you do. So if you're planning something, plan it out properly. If you say you're going to blog, don't just do a couple of blogs and then forget about it. Keep going with it. It needs to be done. It needs to be done properly. And that's when you'll start to sort of get the results. And yeah, absolutely.
No, good. I'd agree with that. Well done, Mark. Well, where are we now?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of done, aren't we? We talked about the things we wanted to get out of you. So okay. so that's really good. Jane, did you have anything else for Simon?
No, I don't think I did really. It was talked about the ads we'd been doing and your thing tomorrow. Really.
Awesome.
Well, I hope some of the audience have got some benefit from that. The challenges are big at the moment, and but really positive. Loads of jobs, not so many candidates, and I'm it's a broad brush, that statement. It won't be the same in every sector, but it's sort of a good place to be for recruiters if you're really good at what you do. And you can, those candidates are there. You just got to fish deeper for them in the pool. This is I'd rather it be like this than last summer.
100%. So really, really quickly before we dive off, Simon, not all of the recruiters that we work with are team members, believe it or not.
I can't believe that. What's the matter?
I know. So when we're talking to them and we mention team to them, that I think that the biggest reason we give them for joining team is the opportunity to collaborate and the stuff that you have going on where best practice is shared. Is there a third thing you would add to that? Give us the pitch before we say goodbye.
I think for some people as well, we've got 102 service providers now, of which you're one, which are some of the best in the country that service and support the recruitment industry, and they all give discounts to team members. And one of the biggest pulls for us is Candidate Source, who buy. We buy for all of team's members from the job boards, and the price from paying job site £100 a month reduces dramatically to pounds, a few pounds a month. So the cost of advertising and putting your jobs out there is at an absolute fraction of what it would be if you're negotiating on your own. And that's a big pull for us. Michelle Davis at Candidate Source is an incredible buyer of those services and consolidated that. She's exclusive to Team, so you can only get those discounts through Team. And not only that, she's a great advisor on how to structure your ad. So it's all very well buying the ad, but what you want is great results from them. So she's really clever at saying, if you're on CV Library, you need to shape it like this. If you're on job site, you do it slightly differently. So the discounts that are available are massive. And some people join just for that. Some of the discounts are available from our wonderful service providers. But we've got learning and development, which is free from some of the best trainers in the world, let alone the country. We've got the Recruitment Jim and Angela and her team. We got Jeremy Snell, who is a legend in recruitment training and with Talent Builder. So we've got some of the best. And yeah, come and have a look. You can, have it. If you're not a team member, come and have a discussion with us. Other great networks are available, but come and talk to us.
Awesome. Right, let's wrap it up there. Simon, thank you so much for joining us today. We have to do the obligatory wave at the camera so we can get our screenshot for social. Do I even
Jazz hands.
confused them with the screenshot? Yeah, absolute jazz hands. And yeah, I will end the broadcast there. Thanks so much. And for everyone tuning in, we'll be here again next week, Thursday at 12. I'm on holiday, so be worth watching just to see what Jane and Mark do with that information.
It'll be a quiet week.
Very quick one.
Open the bottle. I think it's a drinker's lunch. That